The regular meeting of the Clear Lake City Council of Monday, March 7th, 2022 will come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Motion to approve the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Gary. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. We'll move on to the consent agenda. You have a copy of the minutes of February 21st, 2022. We also have a resolution, 2221, amending the meal reimbursement policy for the city. You have a copy of the bills and claims for which we'll need approval. We also have a tax abatement application from Christina Schaefer at 408 Pine Brook Drive. And then under licenses and permits, we have a liquor license, Class C native distilled spirits, and Class B beer permit for 173 Degree Craft Distillery, LLC, and that is a new permit. We'll do a roll call vote because we have a resolution contained within the consent agenda. Mike.
Yes.
Gary.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. And Dana.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries. Now is the time and place for anyone in the audience who wishes to address the council on any issue or concern that is not on the agenda. Please approach the podium and state your name, first and last, and give your address so that the clerk can properly enter it into the minutes. This is not a discussion time or a question and answer time, and you have 3 to 5 minutes. Seeing no one here, we will move on to unfinished business, of which we have none. We'll move on to new business. The first item is the South 15th Street Inclusive Park and Playground Project Financing. Review by Creighton Schmidt, Director of Finance and Administrative Services. Welcome, Creighton.
Thank you, Council. First item here is regarding financing for the South 15th Street Inclusive Park and Playground Project. And the city accepted bank proposals back on Tuesday, February 15th, and the least costly borrowing proposal was submitted by MBT Bank at a rate of 1.85%. At the February 21st meeting, the council awarded the financing to MBT. The remaining schedule for this is tonight we have the approval of the resolution authorizing the issuance, and then we'll have the closing and delivery of funds on March 23rd. And that is all I have.
Okay. Any questions, council, for Creighton or for Chip Schultz from Northland Securities, who we have on the phone as well? Okay. Thank you very much, Creighton. I would just comment that, again, just a terrific rate that we got from MBT at 1.85%. We also had a fine offer from Clear Lake Bank and Trust. And Chip, I think you mentioned last time that the weighted average of our debt's incredibly low. It's sub 1%, and you just don't see that in many communities in the state of Iowa. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's at 0.87%, and it's just quite a remarkable low.
Yeah, it was very prudent for us to move forward with that. And again, I want to thank you, Chip, for being with us tonight on the phone. Any questions for Chip?
Thank you.
Okay, if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve resolution number 2222, a resolution authorizing and approving a certain loan agreement providing for the issuance of $1.3 million in general obligation urban renewal bonds, series 2022A, and providing for the levy of taxes to pay the same. Motion, please.
So move.
Second.
Second.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Mike. Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Gary.
Yes.
Bennett, yes. Dana.
Yes.
And Mike.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries and resolution 2022 is duly adopted. Move on to our next item on the agenda, the 400 block of Main Avenue Alley Reconstruction Project, review by Scott Flory, City Administrator. Welcome, Scott.
Thank you, Council. In your packet, the first orange sheet is a resolution making an award of contract for the 400 block of Main Avenue Alley Reconstruction Project. The backside of that is a resolution that approves the contract and bonds. We went ahead and penciled in the amount for alternate number 1, which is the colored stamp concrete option. And the pink sheet is a tabulation of the bids received for the project. You'll note we had 3 bids on the project. The lowest responsible bidder was Complete Concrete here in Clear Lake. $126,212.50, which is 6.6% above what the engineer's estimate of the probable cost of construction for that particular alternate was. And then if you remember, we had the conventional project, which was just basically a straight PCC paving project. And the bid from Complete Concrete on that was also the low bid at $107,990. And that was a little over 14% above what the engineer's opinion of the probable cost of construction for that alternate was. And we thought the alternate for Complete Concrete number 1 was the more advantageous for us, the better value for our dollar in this case. Complete Concrete, of course, did the almost identical project in between Bank and Trust, Clear Lake Bank and Trust, and Starboard Market. So it'd be a very similar project as to what was done there. Again, the same contractor on that. Project has a completion date, I believe it's a little before Memorial Day, so around mid-May on this one. So Jason's going to review his recommendation with you here in a moment, but I don't have anything further in terms of any introductory or background remarks, unless anybody has any questions.
All right, thanks, Scott. Any questions for Scott?
I maybe just point out the last thing I think we talked about a couple of times already. We had these 2 projects, the alley project at the 600 block of Buddy Holly Place last fall, and this project were combined together. We bid those, didn't get any bids, took a step back, separated out the 2, bid the 600 block last fall, got that one done, and now we bid the 400 block of Main Avenue as we planned this winter, and I think probably going to come out really good on both of those in terms of what the cost is on that for the city. And maybe just point out, I think everyone is well aware, Alliant Energy, of course, is reimbursing the city for a substantial portion of these paving costs for this 400 block.
Excellent. And as you mentioned earlier, Scott, this will mirror what we did in that other alley next to the
Very
the
similar,
bank,
yep.
correct?
We're going to be building the sidewalk back, adding some more parking out
Right.
there on Main. I think Jason could probably speak to it a little bit better, but I think it was 4 or 5 additional parking
Yeah.
stalls will be added by replacing that drive approach, building the sidewalk, brick paver sidewalk back through that, closing it to any sort of through traffic opportunities there. And then, so it goes back a certain distance with colored stamp concrete, and then it's a conventional PCC paving back to the alley that this intersects with, going east and west.
Yeah, that'll be very nice. It'll add some parking there, and
Yes.
it'll look terrific. So,
Yep.
Council, any other questions for Scott? Okay, Jason, why don't we bring you up?
Thank you, Council. Scott pretty well covered that. Like you mentioned, there were 3 bids received: Complete Concrete out of Clear Lake, Larry Elwood Concrete, and Yonko out of Clear Lake. Complete Concrete is the low bidder for both alternate 1, which is the decorative concrete, and alternate 2, which is the conventional concrete. Alternate 1, the decorative concrete, includes the lighted bollards closing off the alley, so there'll be bollards up at the back of the sidewalk, and then removable bollards about half to 2/3 of the way back in the alley there. Alternate 2 was just for reconstructing the alley as is, how is, and keeping it a through alley there. So I believe Complete Concrete is planning to use Brian Nettleton Excavating for the utility work on this. There's quite a bit of sanitary sewer work, as well as some storm sewer and roof drain work that's included as part of this project. So V&K does recommend awarding the construction contract to Complete Concrete out of Clear Lake for alternate 1, the decorative concrete. I can also note that we had penciled in a notice to proceed date of April 4th, weather pending, obviously. It'll take a little while for that alley to warm up, so we'll have to get the frost out of the ground. Completion date of May 20th. And there is a 4-year maintenance bond required as part of this project as well. Any questions?
Any questions, council, for Jason?
I've got one, if I can interrupt here.
Yes, please, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, I talked to one of the store owners along there when the project was first suggested, and she was very concerned about the alley approach no longer being there for some of her customers that don't move about too well. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't do this, but I tried to interject the thought that we might possibly take one of those parking spaces that are going to be added and make a pedestrian approach, a ramp like we have at the end of each block. You know, this is a pretty long stretch for someone to get from either 4th Street or down to 5th Street with you know, without some sort of an approach that has been there for quite some time with the regular alley approach that will now be gone. So I guess from my perspective, I would like to at least explore the concept of doing something like that in the middle of the block. So I'll throw that out in the For What It's Worth department, see if anyone else in the council has any thoughts on that.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Any thoughts from you, Jason, Scott, or
We
council?
can definitely explore
Yeah.
that option.
Yeah,
like
there's
you
no
put-
sense we can't put a handicap spot in there with a ramp, van accessible with a handicap ramp going up there.
There-
In those small spots there.
We'll have to
Very
look at the
easily
grades
done.
to see if we can make a compliant
Yeah,
sidewalk ramp is what we'll have to look
Yeah.
at there.
Okay,
But we can look at that and send that back to staff for further discussion.
Mm.
But regardless, that wouldn't change the award of contract on this. either.
no.
right, otherwise that would just, yeah, that would just affect the design of the parking as Mike is suggesting.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. Dana, any thoughts on that?
No, sounds like a good idea to me as well.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Jason on that? Okay, thank you, Jason. I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 2223, a resolution making an award of contract by the City Council.
I will make the motion with the, not stipulation, but the using alternate one for our contract.
Okay?
Decorative concrete.
Yes, thank you, Gary, I appreciate that. And that was the recommendation that Jason made. So, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, moved by Gary, seconded by Dana, that we approve this for alternate number 1. Is there any further discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Bennett, yes. Dana?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And Gary?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Motion carries 4-0. The next item is the motion to approve contract and bonds. It's resolution number 2224. I will entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
All right, moved by Dana, seconded by Mike. Is there any discussion? All right, roll call vote. Dana?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Bennett, yes. Thank you. Motion 2224 is duly adopted. Our next item on our agenda is the fiscal year 22 amended and fiscal year 23 proposed municipal budget. Review of the maximum property tax levy resolution for the fiscal year July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023 for the City of Clear Lake. Creighton Schmidt, Director of Finance and Administrative Services. Welcome, Creighton.
Thank you again. So prior to our last meeting, I did deliver the full budget to the council. And then also during last meeting, we had the full in-depth review of the budget there. So I will be doing a much more abbreviated version tonight.
I told him he might appreciate that.
Yes. We appreciate that.
Although
This will only be a half, he's only going to go a half hour tonight. So.
Although we enjoyed the presentation, Creighton.
Thank you. And Scott always went through the full one every time. But
like
after
him a lot
having to
better.
sit through me doing it last week, he was much in favor of doing the abbreviated version. So our FY23 budget reflects total expenditures in the amount of $19.4 million. 10.5 million of that is towards operations and maintenance, 8 million towards capital, and roughly 850,000 to debt service. Our projected ending cash balance at the end of fiscal year 23 will be right around $6 million, which is a very healthy balance and represents approximately 64% of the general fund operating budget. Within the capital improvements there are a lot of great projects that we'll be completing next year. The last phase of East Main, the South 15th inclusive park there, which we'll be starting this year and hopefully completing in fiscal year 23. The seawall project, which I know everyone is looking forward to. Water plant improvements, a lot of that being able to be done due to the American Rescue Plan Act funding that we have received. Also, we have various other street repair projects, some sewer projects, and then GIS mapping, which is something department heads have been asking for a few years, which will add great efficiencies for the city. Our debt limit for fiscal year 23 is 61 million, almost 62 million. And as of year end of fiscal year 23, we'll have used 5.3% of that, or $3.3 million. So again, we like to highlight that, a very low level of debt. One of the lowest in the state of Iowa, and with really it being suggested to stay maybe within that 60 to 70% for a healthy city, so well below that. That being said, the city has proposed our tax rate at $9.70, and that will be unchanged from what we had last year. Over the last 7 years, it's either decreased or stayed the same. So I believe over the last 4 years, it stayed the same, but prior to that, it was on a decreasing schedule. And that 9.7 number last year, or the year we're in right now, fiscal year 22, is ranked the 5th lowest in cities over a population of 4,000. So again, a very low level of taxation there. That being said, our taxable valuation for the city has continued to improve. I know we looked at the graph last week where there was a steady increase, and we're going up about 3% in taxable valuation this year. The residential rollback is going from 56.4% down to just over 54%, and that is for the state of Iowa. So when you look at keeping our rate the same and the residential rollback decreasing, just to give you an example, a property valued at $200,000, a residential property, would see a decrease of $45 in their property taxes for the year. So that, and just to give an idea of the remaining schedule for the budget here. So this meeting here, we will also conduct the public hearing and adopt the maximum property tax dollars resolution, which I'll review in a minute here. And then we're also adopting the preliminary budget and set the date for the public hearing for our budget for March 21st. On March 9th, we'll have the notice of the public hearing published in the newspaper. And on March 21st, we'll conduct that public hearing and adopt the fiscal year 22 amended and fiscal year 23 budget proposal. And then finally, on March 25th, I will certify the budget to the county auditor. So back to the maximum property tax dollar resolution. Again, this number here, and this one is, if you want to turn to it, it is in the gray there. So our maximum property tax levies are $5,748,000. The number that represents As far as the dollar amount is 9.15, and that does not include our debt limit. So that number, when we do this maximum property tax, does not include debt service. Again, with the debt service included, our tax number will be the 9.7 that I referenced earlier. And the total increase then would be going up $78,000, which amounts to a 1.37 increase in property tax dollars over last year. And that is all.
Okay, thank you very much, Creighton. Any questions, council, for Creighton?
Just one historical reference for Creighton's benefit. I think some of the older ones remember the Reader's Digest condensed version of things. Maybe that's what we just heard.
There you go. I remember those, Mike. You're right. All right. Any other questions or comments for Creighton? All right. Thank you very much, Creighton. I will now go ahead and open the public hearing on the maximum property tax levy resolution. If there's anyone here that would like to speak on that. Seeing no one, I'll entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Gary. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Thank you. Motion carries. Now to Resolution 2225, a resolution approving the maximum property tax dollars for fiscal year 23 by the council. Roll call, or is there a motion? Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, moved by Gary, seconded by Dana. Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
Bennett? Yes. And Dana?
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 2225 is duly adopted. Next item is our review of fiscal year 22 amended and fiscal year 23 proposed municipal budget. Creighton Schmidt.
That's what he just did.
Okay, so I was going to say, you know, it's on my list of things to cover, Craig, so we'd be happy to hear more. I will say this, you know what? You guys do such a great job with our budget. I literally enjoy hearing all of it, so thank you very much.
There'll be an encore presentation on Wednesday on
Hey,
the radio.
There you go. All right, so I'll entertain a motion to adopt a preliminary budget and approve Resolution 2226, a resolution ordering a public hearing on the proposed budget amendment for fiscal year 22 and fiscal year 23 proposed budget for the city of Clear Lake, Iowa. Motion, please.
So often.
Second.
Motion by Mike, second by Dana. Any discussion? Okay, we'll do a roll call vote. Gary?
Yes.
Bennett? Yes. Dana?
Yes.
And Mike?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion is duly adopted. We'll move on to the next item on our agenda, South 15th Street Building Demolition Project. Scott Flory.
Thank you, Council. The yellow sheet in your packet is resolution making award of contract for the South 15th Street Building Demolition Project. Of course, we had our bid letting on that here last week, and the blue sheet is a bid tabulation that was prepared by Jason Petersburg with Feenstra & Kim. We had 4 bidders on that project. As you'll note, really competitively bid between the top 2 bidders, lowest bidders on this project. So we had Jan Corporation of here, Clear Lake, at $59,075. That was 22% below the engineer's opinion of the probable cost, which was $75,775. And just right after Jan Corporation, we had Charleston Excavating of Clear Lake at $59,500. So a mere $425 separating the lowest from the second lowest bidder on that project. And of course, the project involves the demolition of those 3 buildings there, the former county maintenance shed buildings on South 15th Street, and backfilling of the foundations on on those, and some granular surface be also laid down on that as well. So, guess I don't have anything further in terms of background. I know we had some asbestos in there. Mike Ritter, building official, has been working with Burgo Environmental in Mesa City to have that removed. So I think it's either completely removed or almost removed at that point. So Jeremy and his department have already capped the water and sanitary sewer services there for that project as well. So should be ready to go pretty quickly. I think time's really not of the essence in terms of the completion date on this one, but shouldn't take very long, I would think. So I don't have anything further unless anybody has any questions, and Jason can review his recommendation.
Excellent. Any questions, council, for Scott? Okay, thank you, Scott. Jason?
Not much left to talk about. We do recommend awarding the construction contract to Yanko of Clear Lake for $59,075. I'll note the completion date that was specified for this was April 30th of 2022. There is a 2-year performance maintenance bond on this project. That's really about it. They would like to get started as soon as possible. It's good winter work, demolition work is. There is a 10-day waiting period before they can start any demolition, but I would expect them to be mobilizing in quickly after they receive a contract. Questions?
I think they were going to file that 10 days a few days ago, weren't they?
They indicated they were.
When's the anticipated completion date on that demo work, Jason?
By April 30th at the latest.
Okay, very good. Any questions, council, for Jason?
Just on a related matter, I mentioned, I think it's March 10th that we're having our South 15th Street Playground, Inclusive Park and Playground Project Committee get together again. So hopefully we'll be finalizing some plans on that, some cost estimates, and be able to bring that forward for probably early summer bid letting. But this of course sets the stage for that, and I'd probably expect in the interim probably the property be used for the aquatic center for some additional parking in the area. But we're excited to see those buildings gone. I know for Mayor Crabb's not here tonight, but that was certainly one of the items long ago when he became part of this body that he had hoped to see that property would be in a different condition than it is today. So.
Yeah, that's a great point, Scott, and you're right. Mayor Crabb's been a proponent of this for quite a while and showed real leadership on this and working with the county. So, yeah, we greatly appreciate that. We'll look forward to getting those buildings out of there. Yeah. So, okay. We have a motion to approve resolution number 2227, a resolution making an award of contract for $59,075. Motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Okay, motion by Mike, seconded by Dana. Is there any discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Bennett, yes. Dana?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
And Gary?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries 4-0 and is duly adopted.
Yep, Schultz.
The next item is resolution number 2228, a resolution approving contract and bonds. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Dana, seconded by Gary. Any discussion? Okay, if not, roll call vote. Dana?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
And Bennett? Yes. Thank you. The motion number 2228 is duly adopted. We'll move on to the next item on our agenda, Chief of Police report. Chief, welcome.
I see the fire department's here, council, so I'll try to keep it short to give them the most spotlight. I do want to apologize for the delay with our annual numbers for your review. We were able to print off the department's 2020 and 2021 UCR totals today, and we should have those numbers and stats through February 2022 by your March 21st meeting. I also wanted to update the council on a couple open positions within the department. We recently had a full-time dispatcher opening due to an employee leaving for an excellent opportunity in the private sector. We were fortunate enough that she will remain in a part-time status for us. Our open police officer position is on track for the May 3rd Academy, the start date. We're excited about that. Once that class starts, it won't end until August 19th. So we will probably have that candidate back at the end of the summer and then field training through about December-ish. Finally, with the extreme weather we experienced in parts of the state over the weekend, it's a great time to remind everybody that we'll start our outdoor warning siren test in April. That generally runs through October, first Tuesday of the month at 10 o'clock, and we'll push that out through Facebook, social media, and then we'll put something in the next newsletter just with the remaining dates. But that's all I have, unless you have any questions. So.
I just point out, I think Mike Callahan still had his, when he substitute taught, still had the kids duck under the desk when those civil defense sirens went off.
Duck and cover.
Let's hope we don't have to go back to that. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. Any other questions for Chief Roth? All right, thank you very much. All right, Director of Finance and Administrative Services report, Creighton.
Just wanted to give a quick update on the Wellness Center. Now that we have the field house open and very busy. So I was there over the weekend, 8 o'clock on Saturday morning playing basketball, which I was not fully prepared for. But basketball hardwood courts were full, a couple games going there. They had the indoor soccer, Jeremy running indoor soccer over there, so that side was very packed with kids and their families as well. We had the sport courts, families down there playing basketball almost at every hoop, doing other things. I think Scott saw him playing catch down there, throwing a baseball back and forth. I saw later people using the turf, playing football, and just people all over the building. So very excited to have the field house portion done now and have the community of all ages were there over the weekend. And now we're just waiting for a couple final pieces. They're working on the coffee shop there, the daily grind. We'll have that hopefully in the next couple of weeks. She is excited to be there and get that space in use. And then also the playground. Hopefully we'll have the playground installed here in the next couple of weeks. And then that'll be another space that we'll be able to bring our children to. And just really enjoying it myself. And it's just amazing to see the community over there using it in many different ways.
Yeah, it's just fantastic. Now, has the playground equipment come in, Creighton, yet?
We have the floor, we have the carpet, and Adam received a notice today, and they're trying to schedule hopefully early next week for an installation. So
excellent.
That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, like I say, a lot of activity this week, and it was just amazing to see that. So
I was going to mention
Yeah,
on
go
that,
ahead.
as Creighton said, I'm there all the time, see it. It's just very busy, and the mayor was always very adamant. He wanted the facility to be an intergenerational facility, and it certainly is fulfilling that objective. There's just people there from all ages. It's just amazing to see. Purchased, he's talking about the soccer that Jeremy's running there. And, we bought these benches or whatever you call it,
The bleachers
bleachers
there,
or whatever
yeah.
they are. They were just packed. I remember when Creighton and Adam were looking into those and buying them, and we were talking about that, and I'm watching it. There was like 4 sets of them, and everybody had them all full, and even people were standing. I was thinking about when that coffee shop gets going, that's just going to be a terrific place. It's really become a hub for the community. It's just outstanding, and I think, like you said, once that indoor playground equipment comes, it's going to be fantastic. I just point out there is one guy at a law office that's there almost as much as me. I'm not sure how he's getting that kind of time off over yeah, Moeller, he's there all the time too. So. But no, it's great. And Creighton and Adam, I just can't say enough positive things about how these two guys are managing, and Mary Jo managing this thing. It's just phenomenal to watch.
Yeah, that's a great point, Scott. And we've seen very robust membership growth and not being open very, very long. So that's been very much a positive.
Definitely.
So, thank you, Creighton. Any other questions, council?
I've got two quick questions. Is Tim Mullenkamp in there? Set up shop for physical therapy?
He is, and he's also offering a free service. Do you know what the free service is?
It's like it's kind of a screening, so for
members.
injury screening.
Yep,
Second
a few.
question, is the parking lot going to be big enough?
It wasn't Saturday.
Thinking if we have a couple big events in there that are,
And it's a big parking lot,
Yeah.
and it was every stall. In fact, Jennifer got banged up in there, but no, it did not prove to be big enough. But, most of the days, it's plenty big, but it's like some of these sewers, when you design a sewer, you design it for like a 10-year rain event, not the 500-year storm, but it was packed. Every stall was taken Saturday morning.
it's awesome.
All right, anything else, council? Thank you, Creighton. Appreciate it. Next up, Public Works Director, Jeremy.
Thank you, Council. Really only one update, just kind of make you aware of something that Public Works is aware of it, and I've been in discussions with Jason, is 12th Avenue South. If you've been down in that area lately, this thaw has done some numbers to that asphalt area, those along each side of the roads. There's a lot of channelizers up down there. Really not much we can do right now until some of the frost continues to get out of the ground, but we're gonna have to explore some options, temporary and possible more in-depth fixes, I guess. So once the frost comes out, we're probably gonna core out some of those spots and just put it back with some road stone just to kind of make it drivable and serviceable, but we'll have to figure out something for drainage or whatnot. It's this thaw. I mean, we did some patchwork a few years ago, but it's just getting worse even
Yeah.
around those spots. So I think the grade down there is just really wet, and I don't know, there's not a lot you can do with what's currently there. So we're just kinda
You're
going through some
talking from
options.
8th over to that bridge.
Yes.
Yeah, if you remember, Gary probably remembers, Mike probably remembers, we did an overlay project down there, and it was pretty wet, and, we had tried to do some things we thought would help that situation. And I don't remember how many years ago, but it's been quite a few, probably 12 years or so on that. Hasn't been that long, maybe 8 or
Probably
so.
maybe 6, 7 at the
Yeah,
most.
but, so it's been a little disappointment on that front. So, yeah, I think we had talked previously, we may have to look at a reconstruction on that one.
Yeah, are those frost boils that are affecting that on the edge?
Much.
now?
I think it's
Yeah.
just the quick thawing of that top couple, foot or so with all the snow and rain that we've gotten, just gets into the cracks that were in that asphalt, and then it's just pushing mud through there. So, yeah, talking with Jason, some sub drain, something's gonna have to get done, just kind of get that moisture out of there. But like I said, just so we're aware of it. We're gonna, once we can get in there and start doing some stuff. I think I was gonna get some locates called in, and hopefully maybe by the end of the week I can get a foot deep just to get them drivable. But it's gonna be an ongoing matter here until the spring dries out. So.
Yeah, and I would also comment on, I was on South 12th, I was talking to Scott the other day about this, on that section from 8th Street over to South Shore Drive. There are portions of that road that might need to be evaluated for, I don't know if we do it as part of that project, but just something to keep in mind.
Yeah, I
you
think
know.
they did that water main down there a few years ago.
Right.
And there was some additional storm sewer work that was initially planned that I never was finished because of some different reasons. So it just kind of got left because we thought we were going to have more patchwork and stuff to do. So so those are probably things we just got to continue to explore and once we finish up some of that storm sewer work down there. So
Right, yeah, right.
yeah.
All right, any questions for Jeremy, council? Thank you, Jeremy, appreciate it. Okay, under Mayor's report, Mr. Keefe, are you ready to roll?
Good evening, council. I think Doug sent you some information, but our February numbers went from 88 last year to 120 this year. That's a pretty good sized jump. And our year-to-date obviously went from about 192 to 227. If we keep going at that rate, we'll have a pretty big year. That's some pretty good jump. As far as February, we did have a assist in the barn fire over at Ventura, and the other incident was obviously on the lake with the water rescue situation.
Did they get that snowmobile out of there?
They did.
Okay.
They finally got it out about 4 or 5 days after it went in. But fortunately, we had a credible spotting of that situation from some guys that were extremely credible what they saw. Stayed right there and helped us, told us exactly what they saw, and got guys down in the water right away. We had guys across the other side of that pond that open air pretty darn quick. One of our guys went through the ice, had our boat down there. Ventura came with their boat. Fortunately, the guy self-rescued himself using a simple buck knife. If he wouldn't have had that buck knife on him, I'm not sure he'd have made it. He got out and walked a considerable distance, and then we did find out where he was at, picked him up, and did take him to the hospital for some treatment, just some evaluation. But his temperature was plenty low at that point in time, so just really lucky we weren't facing a bigger situation we had. Ironically, we had an ice rescue class in February. That's what our training was on in February. Days later. A couple new things. We've got 4 new firefighters sworn in, or we voted them on last Thursday. So we've got up to state about 30, 31, I think, right now. So 3 of those guys have firefighter experience, and the other one is you can call him a rookie, but we've got him through the training. Everybody's through it, so they're all ready to go. Fortunately for us, we had 3 guys willing to take the Firefighter 1 training. It's 160 hours of training. That's going 2 days a week for 10 weeks up to Forest City to pass. It'd take a Firefighter 1 training. It's a practical class. You have to be able to do 27 skills. You don't know what the skills are until they show up. The trainings, they draw it out of a hat, and you got to be able to pass that. You make a mistake and they'll fail you. You got to go back and take it again. It's a tough practical. Some of it is not practical. Some of it doesn't. I'll tell you right now, some of it doesn't make any sense at all. Be having a practical test like they asked for, but the guys studied really hard and got it done. The written test, again, they passed that with flying colors. Our 3 guys did, so we have 3 of them that are now certified, and some of them are thinking about taking the Firefighter 2 class. Let's see if they can get their certification up one more notch. Other than that, we're still working on. We're getting some committees out on our truck situation, working on that, and I think that's it. Any comments, questions? See, I didn't take as long as the chief did.
Any questions for Mr. Keefe, anybody?
That was more information than the chief.
All right, thank you, Mike. We appreciate that and everything the fire department does. I have a couple other items here under the mayor's report. We'll treat these appointments separately. We have the first appointment to our Planning and Zoning Commission, which is the appointment of Brian Fodrill. Brian is part of the Lake Leadership class that the Chamber runs, and we were very fortunate to have him here when Mayor Crabb and I had the opportunity to speak to that class. I don't know, Jennifer, was it a week or 2 ago, something like that? Yeah, a couple weeks ago. And during that, the mayor and I, we had a very good time talking to those folks in the class and really explaining a bit what we do here and what some of our boards do. And we also issued a challenge for people to consider serving. And we were very fortunate that Brian stepped up and submitted an application for the Planning and Zoning Commission. He has experience in construction, real estate, and is a lawyer here in town. So I did have the opportunity to speak to him this afternoon and thanked him for submitting his application. So again, my thanks to the Chamber and Stacy and Jennifer for their work with that class. Again, very productive to have them in. And again, so we'll need a motion. So I'll entertain a motion to appoint Brian Fodrill at 1205 Main Avenue to the Planning and Zoning Commission to the term ending December 31st, 2026. Motion, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, moved by Dana, second by Mike. Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Thank you, council. He will be a terrific member for us on the Planning and Zoning Commission. The next appointment is of Tammy Ort. Tammy is a friend of mine, and I have served with Tammy on the Clear Lake Library Foundation Board. She's been a very positive influence on that board. She also serves on several others. And she's very excited about being a trustee for the Clear Lake Public Library. I've had the chance to chat with Brenna Walker, our librarian, this weekend, and with Tammy. And I want to thank them for their putting this forward. And Tammy will be terrific on that board. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to approve Tammy Ort at 1205 8th Avenue South to the Library Board of Trustees. starting July 1st, and then that will be a full 6-year term. Motion, please.
So move.
Second.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Dana. Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you very much, council. Again, that is terrific. We've got 2 quality people to serve on those boards, and I want to thank them for their willingness to serve. All right, the next item, City Administrator's Report.
I don't have anything except under other business. If we could set the date for a council workshop for March 22nd, 8:15 in the morning in the conference room here at City Hall. Got a few items that we need to have some further discussion on, one of which will be a few meetings back, we had a request from the North Iowa Event Center for a local contribution from Clear Lake towards their Capitol building project over there. So we kind of need to make a decision one way or another what we want to do with that. We got a recommendation from the Parks Advisory Commission regarding a dock at 20th Avenue South, public approach. Need some discussion on that. A couple other items, one of which hopefully working with Jason, we'll have a tree replanting plan for Main Avenue that we can review and talk about as well. So number of items on there, so hopefully make good use of your time that morning.
You bet. Thank you, Scott. I'll entertain a motion then to set a date for the council workshop for March 22nd at 8:15 a.m. in the conference room. Motion, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved by Gary, seconded by Dana. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, council. Any other business? All right, with that, I want to thank everybody for coming. We